health is low. Reaper destroyed. Driver kill. Extra health awarded. Special weapon has regenerated. Crimson Fury
All
destroyed.
right, guys, so check this out. So today we're actually going to play Twisted Meadow. Unfortunately, the online servers are no longer operating after 2019 or whatever in January, but I figured we'll go ahead, we're going to kick back and do a little father and son session. We're going to play some Twisted Meadow. This was a game that little man's been wanting to play. So we're about to do that, as you can see. And yeah, we're about to get started onto this game, guys. So give me just a moment here and let me get some last minute preparations, and then we're gonna go ahead and kick that off. First of all, you know, if you guys don't know what Twisted Metal is and you have any questions, feel free to ask. Me and Little Man, we played quite a bit of them, I would say, right? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay, so first of all, let's make sure we got your controller set up. Does your controller work there, buddy? Alright guys, give me 1 second. Well, probably not yet. Let me multiplayer here real quick. Try now.
Oh, offline with cooperative. First one.
Why do I have headphones on and all the sounds coming off my monitor? Alright guys, let's just hope that the second controller actually works. Give me 1 second.
Manipulation, mind reading. Oh, he has many powers. Why, he can even raise the dead. And once spawned, they are forever loyal to Calypso. But this year, I will
See, they can't even hear the TV, which is cool when I'm talking.
Listen, every year this time I got people calling in with his bull.
No! You must believe Calypso is the reason for all the violence. He is the devil.
I do agree with him on one thing. It's bad out there, folks. Real bad. But I got a solution. Stay in tonight and lock your doors.
Lock your doors.
Hey, what's this? Daddy, it's a dead person.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
That her? We find her?
No, just more trash on the side of the road.
Watch them take me down for all the blood. Forgot Twisted Metal is can
Looks
be.
like Calypso's got himself
Say what? A PS4? What's up, Thomas?
contest.
What's up, Jay? Guys, thanks for coming in, everybody. I really appreciate it. What happened?
She was the one. She was the only one. There have been so many people I've killed over the years. But her, she was the only one who ever escaped. She was the one that got away. I don't blame myself. They were my first murders.
Thank you, Poor Jig Zero. Shout out to Poor Jig Zero, guys, coming in with the 500 cheers. You're awesome.
Well, she didn't make
Wish you guys are
it
following.
easy. I had saved her for last. And I toyed with her. I teased her. Oh, she was delightful.
Imagine a man like that breaking into your home, guys.
But she was a fighter. That stupid bitch. She
Ooh.
actually hurt me.
I think she was trying to tell him to cut it out.
That's how she managed to escape.
Ow, he tore it out like nothing.
Oh, he don't care. He's...
And that
Thank you, Thomas.
damned picture.
Oh, boy.
How many years has that been? And I still think about her.
So she was a little girl when she escaped.
Her screams. And her death.
She was a little girl and she escaped, and then when she was a doll, she's...
Then I'll show
I think
her
he
in
just
my
killed her on the
ice
roadside.
box, and we'll be together forever.
He wants to be with her?
Just have to win Calypso's stupid little contest, and any prize I ask for will be mine. Calypso. They say he has many powers.
At least they brought back the original Calypso. Because remember, Twisted Metal Black, they brought some bald dude.
Where she's been
I didn't like him that much. He didn't look that cool.
years. And
Remember, he was just some bald dude that was like
I'm
this.
going to finish what I
In the
started.
original, he was like this. Her head in my icebox.
This time.
Wait, can you guys hear the game or no?
He actually hurt him.
Quick audio test here real quick, guys. Yeah, they can hear. Really soft though, so you guys only hear me really soft, is that what you're saying? But the game is kind of loud. Hold on, buddy, hold on. Hold on, don't rush. We're not in a rush. We're a live stream. We're not like a YouTube recorded video or anything. Guys, give me 1 second. Okay, so Thomas can hear me, you can hear me. Alright, first of all, I'm going to mute the in-game audio. We're going to do a little audio test just to see if you guys can hear me. 1, 2, 3. The game volume is going to be on, and then we're going to test again. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you guys should be able to hear just fine. From what I'm seeing.
Daddy, look, this is cool. X, choose a primary vehicle and 2 alternate vehicles.
Oh, the game is soft. Yeah, don't remind me, Jem. Don't remind me. I don't have the crisp thingy working on the speakers though, so we should be good. It should only be messing with my microphone.
Daddy,
Yeah.
this is cool. Next, choose a primary vehicle and 2 alternate vehicles for your garage. When your health gets low, look for the wrench icon on the radar. Drive through the garage door to switch vehicles. Vehicles in the garage recharge their health. You hear me?
Okay, so first of all, you guys hear right here. I'm gonna check over here just to see what we sound like, guys. Give me once. Okay, Game volume is going down quite a bit. I see what you guys are saying. All right, give me one moment here. I might be. Testing. All right, let me know if that's any better for you guys.
Alternate vehicles for your garage. When your health gets low, look for the wrench icon on the radar. Drive through the garage door to switch vehicles. Vehicles in the garage regenerate their health.
Okay.
Then I take. Oh!
Oh, okay. We got our own cars.
Oh wait! Outlaw. Axel.
All right, so hopefully you guys can hear the game a little better and everything. I'm not sure.
Junkyard dog. Daddy.
I gotta figure out what the heck is going on here. You got nightclub on GTA? Nice. I hate Windows Sense so much. I installed something new and it wants me to reactivate Windows. Ouch. No, Thomas, you can't, bro. All right, well, we're gonna test it like this. If it becomes a do you still get your phone? Oh wait, I wonder if it's let's... Yeah.
Daddy. You know what I got?
What?
I got Axel and Outlaw. That means you have to pick the rest.
All the enhancements are all, so we should be fine. The levels are up high. We should be good. All right.
Daddy, I'm selecting Outlaw.
Oh, that sucks, Jay. So you got Outlaw, so we got to select 3 each of us?
No, we only get 2.
All right, so we got Outlaw and Axel.
Yep. That means I know you're gonna pick Sweet.
We're gonna do Sweet Tooth.
And what else? You can't do Axel, you can't do Outlaw.
We'll do Sweet Tooth again.
You can't do Axel or Outlaw. Sorry, got you.
How many cars is there?
You have to have Junkyard Dog, Road Boat, or Death Warrant.
I think we're gonna go ahead and do Death Warrant. So we got mounted guns. That's it.
Fun Things California.
Really?
Sweet.
You have to run a trophy
My
old
name
school.
is Calypso.
Oh snap!
Welcome to my contest. Welcome to Twisted Metal. This is Sun
Well, it's
Springs,
alive.
California. Your first battleground. Quaint, all-American, peaceful, destructible. To win and advance to the next event, simply destroy all other contestants.
Oh, there's a garage.
The green wrench on your radar will guide you to your garage. When death is
This
near,
one got a nice bicycle there. Is that
I
Mr.
suggest
Grimm?
you use
Wait,
it.
that's a garage.
Yeah, we can regenerate our car's
We'll
health.
find
if
one
it's
of my
low.
active health trucks for full regeneration.
That's just Juggernaut.
Good luck, sweet.
That's Calypso's trucks.
Survive this, and you're one step closer to your dream.
Okay. Whoa! I got my own guy on top.
How do we do this? What's the buttons?
I don't know. I can't drive.
That guy's weird.
I can't drive.
Oh, you gotta use you gotta hold square. Yeah.
Whoa! Shoot my turret. Hey, look! I got a turret on top.
Okay. All right. Don't screw too much here. I'm right in my ear. All right. I gotta figure out. is going on here, guys? It's almost pretty big. Yo, this guy is on my booty. How do I go backwards?
Woo! I like this twist though.
Okay. How do I go backwards? Yo, hold on. This game plays a lot of copyright music. That's Ice Cube. Hold on a second. How do I turn this off? I like the music, guys. I do. But we're gonna get copyrighted hardcore. I don't even care.
Ice Cube's gonna come and be like,
Yeah.
"Yep, you put my song on your show, you get the money from your ad. I get the money from your."
Look, you already know. Yeah, right. Woo!
All right, Daddy, ready?
Huh?
Ready?
All right, guys. Yep. Yeah, I'm on the PlayStation right now, Thomas.
My guy has a clown on top,
Oh yeah.
and he has a turn. He goes.
All right, guys. Here we go.
Ready?
Ice Cube's gonna come slap you with some ice cubes. Jim cracks me up.
Daddy, you know what he's gonna do? Put ice cubes on your shirt.
Yeah. Dude, how do I go backwards? Hey, stop yelling so much. How do I go backwards? Oh, okay, this button.
Look at my car, Daddy.
I don't get it. Why is my controls so weird? Alright, so I have a shotgun. What the heck do I do with that? Oh, dark side, okay.
Hey, dark side over here.
Oh, what the? What am I supposed to do here? I can't move?
Daddy, good luck with Deathborn and Christmas.
Dude, the AI is all over the place. What's my,
Here, Deathborn. Daddy, your Crimson Fury.
Sweet Tooth shoots his ice heads or his flaming heads again? I don't get it. Where's my shooting button? I can't shoot him.
This button.
Oh. Okay. What about
Pizza. Don't care our dog. Come on, Jug Dog.
I don't understand Sweet Tooth. He's weird. I don't understand these controls, guys. This is all completely new to me. First, let's get a hold of Darkseid. I'm just gonna go ahead and hominess to them. He's gonna be out of the game. Yes.
Darkseid destroyed. 5.
Yeah.
Special weapon available.
The garage. What do I do here?
Like Deathborn.
Oh, we share cars. Oh.
No. You ain't picking Axel.
Jimmy, you're fired.
Axel and freaking.
Yeah. I did add you back on PlayStation, Thomas. What?
Let's get one thing straight. You don't pick my car.
Hey, let's go.
Fine. You have Deathborn and Sweet.
All right. Go ahead. Move in my car.
Sweet Tooth. Oh wow.
Oh.
I flamethrowed him. Look, how many she. Hold up.
I think I'm getting used to the buttons now, but it's
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Outlaw? I just did a combo with Outlaw. I set Warhawk
Wow.
on fire and did a minigun on him. Now give me a high five. High five. I just flamethrowed Warthog and machine gun him.
Wait, hold on. It's weird to know how. Wait, it's it's weird to happen to recognize a few names, yet they say they have no current servers. Oh, you mean like in the game? Oh, so you got somebody helping you too on there?
Yeah. I got someone on my side.
Dude, where are you at? How did you get over there? Oh, I'm coming. Oh, how do we use turbo? Is it Oh! How dare you! No, I Reaper? You got thing coming, bro.
Come on. Come on, Junkyard Dog.
This AI is not playing around.
3 opponents left.
Here's this guy.
Special weapon back online.
Junkyard Dog should be dead. Behind you, Daddy. Come on, I got my turn with you. Yeah. Wait, Daddy, which triangle?
Oh no.
Oh, which triangle for my special ability?
I don't know, whatever it is. Oh! What was that?
That was me. I just came by. Woo! How do you turbo?
I think you just hit double hit square. Oh gosh. Oh, there's those Calypso's trucks.
Get that thing turbo.
Yeah, but why is it? I can't get out of the fire. Oh, this truck moves you around quick.
Yeah, Junkyard. See how overpowered my guy is? He can shoot mid.
Little man, you're screaming.
Special weapon is regenerated.
Oh, Junkyard Dog, really? That's a dude.
Junkyard Dog.
Ooh, wait, I see him running. Health.
Driver kill. Extra health rewarded.
Right, Grissom Fury, that name is familiar to me. He's a streamer. No, Grissom Fury is actually one of the characters in the game. No high fives allowed, right? Social distancing, guys. Ugh.
Weapon available.
My special weapon's my turn.
Dude.
I'm faster than Crimson Fury.
Yeah, how many people are left?
One. Crimson Fury.
Let's get him. He ran away. Oh! Oh!
Oh, I had to mash my buttons to restart my engine.
It's the Calypso truck again. Gee, oh, the lag was real.
You bastard. Yeah, but
Ooh!
look at my missile thing. I gotta get up.
Yeah, so it definitely got that story mode. I would like the new submachine gun, so we
No,
can
that's
change.
for that guy up there. Clown.
Oh,
Your clown uses it. That's your special ability.
also a streamer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a very popular name.
It like saves it automatically.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. It's saving system data. Ooh, hold on. Before we start the next level, let me check something.
Has to do one.
All right, let's go and try this again, guys. Oh,
The next to the death map, Colosseum.
we do just pick our characters again. Let's pick the same ones.
Well,
Oh, submachine gun.
submachine gun, boy. Oh, Colosseum.
Black Rock Stadium. I have
That's
to
it's gonna be
tell you,
minion. Because look at this
is
stage.
just between you and I.
Oh boy.
I designed this arena to bring about the greatest loss of life in the shortest amount of time. It's like a slaughterhouse, but
What?
for people.
Reaper.
I'm actually
Dark
quite
side.
proud of
Look at the top. Skull face.
Yes.
Now, if you want to survive, beware the traps. And beware of the dangers. And be ready for the layout to change lickety-split. I love that term.
The map changes, I
Now,
think.
Sweet Tooth, there is a garage here if you get low on health. But know there are other ways to stay alive in Black Rock. Destroy all enemies, Sweet Tooth. It's the only way for you to win.
I don't get it. Oh, here we go.
Wait, you gotta defeat me?
No, we gotta defeat the other players. All right, let's do this. Let's do this.
Come on, Axel and Crimson Fury, I got you. Wait, Dad, you gotta be careful. Remember traps.
Yeah, true.
The traps. You can't go too fast.
Yeah, Sweet Tooth sucks at turning.
Got bounced out. Ooh.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and try. Oh, what is that? Oh, so man, Sweet Tooth really sucks at turning.
What's this?
We gotta find a way to play this online. Yeah, I know, bro. This is like, I've always wanted to play this, man. Never could because, you know.
Dad, you can't. Offline servers are off.
Oh no!
No, I'll stay with that one.
But yeah, that would be awesome though, right? I mean, there's land play. I'm sure there's got to be a way. Oh, I see the level raising. Look at the grounds.
What? Dad, I'm gonna try doing this death course. Ready? Ready to see me do this death course, Daddy?
Go ahead and do it. You don't have to yell it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about the submachine gun so much. I'm not really digging this submachine gun.
All the enemies are by you?
Duck jet.
Oh, yeah.
Why did he transform out of the robot? Like, how come I can't stay? Nah, I don't like this submachine gun too much. Maybe it does more damage. I don't know, but not really feeling.
Shadow destroyed. 5 opponents left.
Oh, Shadow! Hello. Help.
Driver killed. Extra health awarded.
Ooh, look at all the electricity around now.
Yeah, very true.
This map is dangerous. Let's get out of here. Wow. The Reaper over here knocking me on my side.
I got you back. Oh!
I got dark side. Okay?
Yeah.
You get the rest, I get dark.
So the gun's kind of aim.
Special weapon has regenerated.
Come on, dark side. Wow, dark side's able to run through the freaking,
Oh my god, the AI is running away from me. And he got away.
Hey, dark side's dead.
Dark side destroyed. Driver killed.
Yeah, there is kind of a way. I mean, I just don't know in particular, like, so much with this one.
Special.
Still outlaw, man. Outlaw is out of the law. You
Right?
don't go by law.
Seriously?
Yep. Oh. Oh. Hey, we literally can't see.
I think there's a way to... Oh. Just hit the select button.
This is so much better.
Yeah.
This map is. Ooh!
Oh, that did some damage.
Oh, show Axel!
Crimson Fury destroyed. 3 opponents left.
Oh, they're about to get smushed?
Daddy, Axel just got smushed. Is he still alive?
I think so, but you better get out of there.
Me-Wagon's alive.
Yeah, the driving in this game is way different, guys.
Wait,
Wait, what the?
Herman's hitting you with a laser. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Mash buttons to restart your engine. Hey, I got Me-Wagon.
Oh, you hit down on the D-pad to shoot backwards.
Destroy.
What's
One
this?
enemy remains.
RC car?
No! It's a freaking meat wagon.
Oh, my
Kill. Extra health awarded.
Hey, we're doing good.
yeah, we are.
Dad, I got meat wagon. Okay?
Whoa! Yeah, I'm falling. Oh.
We both fell.
The items are definitely small in this game, but distinguishable.
Special weapon back online.
Oh my gosh. We're not sure, Thomas. It depends. We have some possibility of multiplayer depending on how we do today on the stream. If not, I'll probably just do like a single player campaign game or something. We'll see.
What do you mean? You're already doing multiplayer.
No, I know, but this is us. I mean, like, online stream. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. I'll keep you guys posted.
Special available.
He's doing really good, man. Really good. Where'd he go? Where is he?
He's all around over. He's all the way over here. I need to get past this death course. I survived the death course.
You did?
Yes.
Oh my
I just
god.
went straight through without looking and I forgot. Meat wagon's down here.
There he is. Oh!
Hold on.
You have won the battle.
There we go. We did it! Yeah, buddy.
Hey, shush.
Who's that?
We get Reaper.
Oh.
We get Reaper. You have unlocked Reaper.
Yay.
You just get bikes by playing. You didn't even have to defeat them.
Well, at least it ain't hard. Like, remember the other one? You had to, like, go to, like, some sort of portal and defeat a certain enemy and do a mini game in a certain amount of time.
This game, you just have to play rounds and earn them. Wait. Oh.
Oh, yeah, you did? There you go, Jay. Okay.
Daddy?
Okay.
Electric cage match. Metro Square.
I'll have to get serious now, guys.
Daddy, you know who I'm
I
going.
think I'm gonna go back to the mountain guns. I'm not really feeling those SMGs as much, guys. I mean, the mountain guns I don't think did as much damage, but oh good. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that, bro.
Daddy, I chose Reaper and Outlaw.
Okay.
Do you like the holidays, Sweet Tooth?
That's his workshop.
I love to see the people so happy, so excited.
This Calypso?
Because when they die violently, they're so surprised.
Yep, that's
Am
Calypso.
I right? No one expects to die on Christmas. Oh, and this year, I've added something new, just to shake things up a bit. The electric cage. Stay inside the cage when it's active, Sweet Tooth. And if you leave the cage, your grace period drains. And if you're out of grace and you drive outside the cage, well, best not to think of such things.
You're gonna die.
We have to stay inside the cage, but where's the cage? Maybe it's like some kind of field. Oh, well, I see the cage. The green wall. Okay.
Look, I can literally just throw stuff at you.
Look at this traffic.
Special weapon back online.
Maybe this map wasn't so good to pick freaking.
Is the level moving or something? Because it feels like.
You
What
are
happens when you're out
outside
there?
the Cage. Grace period initiated.
Oh, you got 30. Wait, what?
Cage is about to move.
Oh, the cage is gonna move.
You have to stay inside the cage.
Yeah.
Has moved to another location.
Okay, where's the new cage?
There. The enemies know where it is. Follow the enemies and you'll find the cage.
Right, true, very true, very true.
Ah,
Special available.
I see the cage up ahead. Look at the rat, see?
I'm already in it.
You're in it. Oh.
I just followed the enemy. Wow, busted through a window.
Okay, this outlaw? Point blank damage? Jeez.
I'm the only one and only outlaw here. Wow, there's just health laying all over. Nice. Wow! Look, Darkseid knocked me all the way in here.
The cage has moved to another location.
Nice all.
Location.
What is the cage?
Why am I seeing like this car do like a wheelie or something?
Now you have to use your boot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just Sweet Tooth is very slow. He's not that good in this one like the other ones.
You are outside the cage. Grace period initiated.
Wait, left stick to do a wheelie.
You are outside the cage.
Oh look, the turbo is your brakes. Oh, look at Outlaw. Outlaw is so weak. Wow, Deathborn.
About to move.
Wow.
Outlaw destroyed. 5 opponents left.
Goodbye, outlaw.
Oh, the cage is up there.
Oh shoot, well, then we better get over there.
Bye. Wow, this guy dropped mine. Oh, bye.
Look at the whole AI just moving.
Guys, bottom is your grace. Look how much grace I have left.
Okay, I'm in the cage. Oh, I see. It's green on the map too. Okay.
Cage. Grace period initiated.
Get his health. Oh. There's no freaking robot.
Yeah, but I only get the.
You are outside the cage. Grace period initiated.
Yeah, but I don't know. Can't shoot this guy. Oh, we're on the ice. No wonder we're moving the way we are.
I destroy Walhart.
Destroyed.
Got the ice, man. The ice got weak crazy.
The cage has moved to another location.
Another location.
Hey, follow the enemies and you'll find the freaking, my grace is low.
Dark
side.
Destroyed. 3 opponents left.
I think the cage is gonna be this, so we're gonna follow the AI.
Why are you trying to shoot me? You're actually killing me.
I'm shooting next to you.
Special weapon has regenerated. Grace period expires in 10 seconds.
Mine.
Return to the cage or you will start taking damage. Return to the cage or you will begin taking damage. Return to the cage or you will start taking damage.
That's you, not me. I ain't affected.
Why?
My grace is all the way down. Yours isn't.
I'm getting in the cage.
Hi, Daddy.
Oh, they locked me out here. Ooh. Get in the cage or you will start getting damage. That's so mean. Oh, goodbye. At least we did the strong. But,
2 opponents left.
Woohoo, I'm outside.
The cage is about to move. Gunner kill.
again already? Wow, skating time, right?
Has moved to another location.
What?
Special weapon back online. Grace period expires in 30 seconds.
Why am I getting damage?
I ain't.
Your grace period's what's killing me.
Mine?
Yeah.
Visit a garage to
Oh.
change your vehicle. Grace period expires in 10 seconds. Return to the cage, or you will begin taking damage.
Now we got a junkyard left. I'm driving too
You are
fast.
outside the cage.
Why am I outside the cage?
Initiated.
That's Princess Furia.
The cage
no.
is about to move.
Oh no!
4 moving cages.
Return to the cage. You are losing health. Return to the cage, or you will start taking damage.
The heck? Why do I take damage right away?
I'm out of the cage too, it says.
Oh shoot.
Hey, we're both about to die.
I know. We gotta book it out of here.
We're about to die.
Yes, I am.
Special weapon available.
Big trouble.
You are are about to die. Return to the cage. You
No!
lost the
I
battle.
died.
How'd you died?
I
Oh man, look, there was the Calypso check. Oh, you gotta stay in the ring, see? Try again? Yeah, that's all we can do. Oh, we gotta do all the enemies again. They take a long time to die, guys. What?
Do you like the holidays, sweet tooth?
You just skip it.
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah. Alright, let's go, guys. What are you doing?
I have to go to the garage. Myself? Where's the garage? Where's the garage? Where's the garage?
Oh, dude.
Oh, the garage is over here.
I can't change my camera. There we go. I don't like they shoot me way so much. And look, they're only at the... What are you doing now? Oh my god, this kid. I wish I just like went on your screen. I keep playing. Okay,
The
get these guys out of
cage
here.
is about to move.
I'm out of the cage already.
Yep, get ready for the new cage.
Special weapon is rejected.
Yeah, I know where the new cage is already. So we
God, I can't move. Yeah, so we got to get to the cage quick when it changes, so we don't lose grace period. Oh my god, who the heck is shooting me? Oh dear gosh, you need to really cool it.
You are outside the cage.
How are you outside the cage?
Initiate.
I fall out.
Okay. You know what, we need some items. Get some items. We're gonna need everything we can. Get ready for that. Move it again already.
The cage has moved.
Follow
There we go.
these and you fall and you find the cage.
It's this way.
Cage is back in.
Yep, see, here they go.
Special weapon available. We're outside the cage. Grace period initiated.
Well, I don't think we have,
The cage. Grace period initiated.
oh my god, some of the... Oh, he's not gonna be out of the cage!
We're outside the cage.
Oh, it's like we're playing Wrestling Royal Rumble or something. Oh, these guys. Please, no. And the cage is about to move. Get ready.
We're outside the cage. Grace period initiated.
Yep, get to the cage up the hills. Go, 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 go!
Where are you guys going?
We're in the cage.
I should be faster and better because I got flipping out.
Special
Oh.
weapon is regenerated.
Man, look at that. They all came up the hill and shot me. Every single one of them. The AI is not even against each other. They're all against me and him. You think COD's gonna ban Warzone? I'm not sure. There was a... Kelso was talking about something. About the,
What? They're not even going against each other.
No, they're not. They're coming for us because we are playing two-player. But they do it on single-player, too. We got this. Don't worry.
Destroyed. 5 opponents left.
Oh, my God. Suck with this stuff. I don't get that robot mode.
4 opponents left.
Dude, we need to go to the next circle.
Wow, Berman can drive in the ice, no problem. I'm on Berman's car. Follow Berman, you'll find freaking, this game is annoying.
Yeah. There's our grace period. We gotta hurry up. Oh.
Special weapon back online.
I need some items.
You are outside the cage.
Yeah,
Grace period initiated.
I understand that. I'm trying. Okay? Here we go. I'm in the cage. Leave me alone.
You are outside the cage.
So many people cheating at COD or Warzone, man. I'm telling you guys, like the game, there's so many hackers right now, guys. So many people just exploiting and lag switching and DDoS and all this crazy stuff.
Outside the cage. Grace period initiated.
I literally just made Berman
Is
outside the
about
cage.
to move.
Wow!
What a miss.
The cage has moved to another location. Grace
Red spot on the map.
Yeah, the red spot's the new cage. We gotta go, 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 go.
That's taking any damage. Have you?
Yeah, I think I just found Billy.
special available.
Look at them all traveling up there. They're like, boom, 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 boom.
Grace period expires in 10 seconds. Return.
Trying, I can't drive in this game.
Begin taking
Hey, I'm gonna kill these last ones.
You are outside the
I
cage.
kill roll kill.
Grace period.
I killed the roll kill.
3 opponents left. You are outside the cage. Grace period initiated. 2
Boom.
left.
One more.
Weapon destroyed. 1 enemy remains.
We got one more enemy, man. One more enemy. I don't get this. Da-da-da. Sign up for it when I launch the episodes. Really?
The cage has moved to another location. Return to the cage, where you will begin taking.
That's why you don't play Warzone. I don't blame you, Tom. Honestly, I had a better time playing just regular multiplayer. The Warzone is, the concept is sweet, but there's hackers,
Or
guys.
you will begin taking damage. Return.
Oh, run, run, run to the cage, to the cage. Don't worry about the AI.
Return to the cage, or you will begin taking
Now I'm
damage.
getting it.
Oh shoot, really? I just came up here.
Just go to the cage, I said. Just missed it. Seriously? Oh my god. Cage is right there!
You have won the battle.
Wow, I like how it shows you just forgets me. What? You have unlocked a rear freeze?
Yes, so how do you do rear freeze? Up and triangle? Okay. What's up, Solid? What's going on, bro?
I like how you're getting all the freaking rewards.
And you got those crybaby cappers. I know Jay will tell you guys. Jay will tell you. All right, we beat the next level, guys. We're ready to move on.
After she escaped. But I almost caught her. I could sense where she was. Her fear. It was so ripe. This would be fun. It was like Christmas morning. Every hallway
Jeez.
filled with little gifts.
What did your guy do?
Little, tiny,
Killed a whole hospital.
filled gifts.
Your guy killed a whole
So
hospital.
many of them tried to fight. I think they wanted to make it fun for me. I think they were happy for me. Looking back, I'm so glad I decided to take the stairs.
I was happy to take the stairs.
The cops didn't stop it.
Wow.
Her sweet stench lingered in the hall, but I had just missed her. Oh, that name. How I hated that name. It reminded me of how I hated him. How I hated being him. His stupid little life. That stupid little job. It took me years of screaming and clawing and breaking him down. Years of calling out to him, trying to get him to set me free. But he was such a coward. Then one night it happened. One night I called. And he answered. And after I got him to carve me, I killed him. For my first murders, I chose the perfect targets. The perfect family. I chose his family.
Marcus, no!
Marcus
King.
doesn't live here anymore.
That was Yellow Jacket.
Shut up and bleed, you mother... They all died so easily. Except for her. She was a surprise.
He's just relieved he didn't die.
Where did she go?
Ooh.
What'd you say?
I'll find her.
I should have said nothing.
I'll fucking find her. Can't hide from me.
You guys still like clowns?
You can't hide from Daddy.
I never liked clowns, and that's the one reason why, to kill him.
Wow.
Killed a whole hospital. Your guy's insane. He been throwing people out windows. He went.
He went and took out a whole hospital. I don't like that name.
DM, wait. That means Juggernaut's in this match, because it should have just been Waiton. Daddy, choose your best character for this.
Well, let's go and get ready for the next one. What?
Fighting Juggernaut. Your guy's crazy. He took out a whole hospital. Even the freaking. Hey, the police couldn't even save the hospital.
Well, while that loads, I'm gonna check something.
Hey, the police. Do it.
Interesting. What a very bad clown. Oh, Sweet Tooth is so angry. You could feel the anger from in his blood.
You thought Sweet Tooth was down in the beginning? Nope. And this was metal? Oh, he bad.
All right, here we go, guys. What does it say? Watkins Harbor? Drive it to a garage when your health is low. Okay, well, that was
Killing
quick.
your own family. A nice touch, Mr. Kane.
Oh, he killed his own
They
family.
held me back.
Sweet Tooth is Kane?
Yes, I suppose they did. So anyhow, this is Watkins Harbor. Grimy, rundown, lost hopes around every corner. Your kind of place, yes? And this is Juggernaut.
The heck?
He won't appear on radar, and he's very hard to kill. Every few minutes, he'll drop a new contestant onto the battlefield.
Heck's not
So
moving.
find him quick and kill him.
Who's in there,
quickly.
doll?
It helps
No,
to
it's
shoot
Skull.
his insides while his doors are open. More damage that way. Same with the grill. Aim for Juggernaut's front to take him down fast. Stay alive, Sweet Tooth. The one that got away, you're getting so close.
Hey, here we have it, guys. What the? All right, guys. Let's.
Oh my god, look at the special ability.
Why are you speeding?
Look at those.
What are we do this level?
No, look at Axel. Look at my screen, Daddy. Axel turns together, spiked wheel. That's his special. Wait a second, he doesn't appear on radar.
No, he doesn't. Not like the other ones.
Special
Him?
weapon has
Yes, I do.
regenerated.
He's right there. Over here. See you? See, he's right here.
Gosh. Oh, that looked like that didn't work.
I don't understand how you're supposed to aim the Juggernaut.
I have no idea.
And once we kill him, we get to play it.
Hopefully, we'll see. I mean, we got Reaper. We didn't have to fight Reaper. Wait, why does he have a timer on him? You got 12 seconds. I love how none of the AI is after you but me. Oh, Juggernaut's messing me up.
Yeah, look like oh, I gotta get away.
Lost the battle.
Oh, you were supposed to leave. Wow. Wow, okay.
Whoa. Oh, Daddy, you're supposed to attack him when his timer goes down.
Killing your own family? A nice touch, Mr. Kane.
Alright guys, let's try this again. Yeah, take out the little guys.
Oh, we got this guy.
Oh my god, these guys are messing me up. Don't forget to hit the garage, man, if your life is low.
Look at my special.
Hey, please. You're screaming and it hurts. That's, you know what? That's a stupid outlaw. You gotta go, man. You're annoying the crap out of me.
Oh, Juggernaut's over here.
Roadkill destroyed. 4 opponents left.
Oh, I gotta run him over. Oh my god, it won't get off of me. Just come closer. Jeez, we're all like touching each other. What is that?
Oh, he runs you over. I have to press buttons to escape. Oh, come on. He first runs me over. Then he freaking gets... Like, Daddy.
Yeah.
Juggernaut's timer was... Oh, it's almost up. I'm gonna go over to Juggernaut.
Be careful behind you. Wait, that's the... Oh, look at him trying to go for that truck. He wants to... Oh!
Juggernaut has spawned an enemy.
It's him spawning an enemy. He just spawned meat magic.
Really?
Yeah. When that timer goes down, that means he spawns an enemy.
Oh, God.
We gotta kill him.
Oh, my God. Can these guys get off of me? Dang! Yeah, he just used... You shoot using motion. Okay. I need some items. Right, Kinky, what's going on? How are you?
Oh!
Okay.
No, Juggernaut's down here in the sewer.
You're good.
Oh, they ain't Juggernaut.
Freaking health, man.
Oh, Juggernaut's down here. Daddy, Juggernaut just freaking calls me.
I'm gonna get out of here. Your life is low, dude. Where you at? Oh, what the?
Help me. Where's
Can
the-
you move? Like, the AI was so weird. Where you at? I'm coming to you. They're all off of you. You're good. Just go to the garage. Look for the green wrench on your map. Look at your map on your left. Follow the green wrench.
No!
Enemy has spawned.
Oh.
Yeah, he spawns an enemy when that timer goes down.
We gotta take on the enemies quick, I think, or do we have to go?
No, we have to take out Juggernaut first.
Dang, yeah. Okay, let's get you to the garage. You missed it totally, but...
Oh, it's over here.
Oh my god, the AI does not let go. Get in there, get in there! Alright. That is very true. They're very true. They just gang up on you and make the games make you rage. Right. It's all good. I mean, we are playing. Oh.
I'm playing Deathborn right now.
Yeah.
What's your special? I don't think I ever played Deathborn.
Good. Check him out. He's down and out.
Destroyed. 5 opponents left. Driver killed. Extra health awarded. Juggernaut is about to spawn a new enemy.
Hey, you think Juggernaut's a joke now?
Point blank.
Hey, you think Juggernaut's a joke now?
Oh, I see the health right here. I'm going in. Wow. I can really miss. Get in there!
Special weapon back online.
Oh! Just shot me out. Okay.
Juggernaut is
Alright, that's it. You and your freaking Juggernauts, dude. Okay, that was a fail. That was an epic fail. Yeah. Dude, can't you move? And you're being such a vermin. Why your name is Vermin. Wait, you know what? Okay. I was being nice. No. Oh, and, oh, you go up and you be fancy because you know all the short. Okay.
Daddy, I shot Juggernaut in the front. Ooh.
Good job. Get him down. Get him down.
You're freaking knocked me over. Oh!
Vermin destroyed.
He knocked me over.
Juggernaut's life is weak too. Yeah, we do gotta take him out. All right, let's get him.
Never respawn.
Okay, we gotta get this guy down, guys. We gotta shoot him in the front. How are we gonna do that?
I can't in front of him. I juked him off.
He's low. He's low. Oh man, he does damage.
Special weapon available. Juggernaut.
Yes, got him.
To spawn an enemy. 3 opponents left.
Daddy, there's only me wagon.
Okay, we still gotta get these guys.
Hold on, give me a high five.
Oh man, we took out the Juggernaut, man. Yeah. He was really a Juggernaut. All right, guys. All right. Oh dear gosh, dear jeez Louise, man.
He makes things fine.
Wait a minute. I got some early misses. Whatever these
Special
are.
available.
Ooh. All right, how many we got? Don't die on me, buddy. You got this. Come on. Outlaw's gone.
Outlaw destroyed. 2 opponents left. Special available.
Get him. He's so weak.
Oh!
There you go. Oh, you guys are both weak. Look at both of you. What's happening? I'm in the bottom. On to me. Let me heal up what I can.
Special weapon back online.
Yeah, I don't like Sweet Tooth steering too much in this game. He's all over the place. It's like Modem Shakespeare or Modern Shakespeare with all this world play, right? Or the controls of this game a bit wonky too. It is. It's weird. For me, at least because Sweet Tooth's handling I noticed was a lot different than when I played the other characters. Like left stick is the obviously like, you know, left, right, whatever, and then what right stick does. Oh. Oh! Hello. All right.
Hey, I got Cheryl.
Oh, what the? Who hit me from the back? Oh my god, dude. Dude, what's in my way? Move, car. Dear gosh. Alright. Oh. Is that the last one?
Nope.
Stage.
I got Shadow.
Shall destroy.
Meat wagon.
One enemy remains.
Meat wagon.
You're not supposed to park the car. I tried not to, guys. I really did.
Got a meat wagon.
What?
Meat wagon.
The who? What?
Meat wagon.
Oh.
That's who's left.
You won the battle.
What job?
We defeated Juggernaut with all those guys.
Yes, we did. What's going on now?
We've unlocked the Magnum sidearm. We're having Juggernaut.
Huh. Aw. Like we can only play Reaper. He's a wagon of meat. Wow.
Meat wagon's a wagon of meat.
I guess he's packing a lot of meat.
Desert Twisted Race.
Oh.
Pass.
Oh boy. Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're almost done.
We are
Two more
almost.
things.
Next mission rolling in. Here we go, guys.
I was just checking.
You making sure, huh? Alright, guys. We're good. This is it.
Only able to select one car.
I guess so, yeah. Or, you know, the rest is in the garage.
B2.
Diablo Pass? Oh boy.
Welcome to Diablo Pass. Winding roads, dried blood on the asphalt, and plenty of plunges right to your death. This is Battle Race, Sweet Tooth. Every
got a
game
race?
you miss will count against you. Miss too many, and it's an early end. Also, you should know, I've equipped every vehicle with a bomb.
Wow.
Race to the ghost town and hit the bomb gate to arm these explosives. Be the first back to the starting line to hit the bomb detonation plate. And blow everyone else to hell.
What? Isn't it?
Okay. Here we go, guys. There's two dark sides?
Daddy, I'm not with you on this one. Oh! Yeah, you're gonna have to go. You're on little. I should be fine, right? I'm little.
What the heck is going on?
Crimson Fury is.
Special weapon
You
available.
would think so.
Crimson Fury really wants to hit everyone with a bomb.
Oh, you're gonna fall off the ledge there. Whoa! Shh. What happened when he fell off?
I just regenerated. I lost a little bit of health.
Yeah, the other one. No!
Crimson Fury! I'm not even
Oh
looking.
my god, I fell off again. All damage, 187.
Crimson Fury.
Come on, dude, please, please, for the life of you. Okay.
Gate missed.
So it's almost like, oh my god, get off! I got no turret. Look at this. Just aiming at me for days. Okay, that's it, guys. We need to.
Gate missed. Gate missed.
Oh, I missed the
And you will
freaking health thing. Oh, thank goodness.
You have armed the bombs. Return to detonator at the starting line.
Oh. Oh, what the?
Hey, everyone's in front of me now. I'm gonna have to get in front, please.
Special available.
Okay. What's going on here?
Miss 3 more gates, and you will self-destruct. Gate missed. Miss 2 more gates, and you will be destroyed.
Oh, we're going back. Oh.
1 more gate, and you will self-destruct.
Oh, this one I missed. Oh my god, these guys just don't let go.
Special weapon available.
They don't let go.
You have lost the battle.
No! Really, dude?
I was up front too.
No. Let's do it all over again. You ready?
Got the bomb. I'm trying to rush to the front.
Alright, guys. Here we go. It's showtime.
Welcome
Yeah, my
to
car-
Diablo Pass.
It's slow, but it's all good. I'm a tank pretty much, so
1.
Oh, look. See. Bye.
you ain't gonna know Shadow.
Oh, come on, Crimson Fury. I'm ready to race you.
Gate missed.
Oh my god, Crimson Fury acts like he's so fast.
Excellent. Freaking respawn.
What? So this perfect for this?
I would assume you do so.
This is Jaden. She got a freaking race car.
Yeah, Reaper's out of here.
Reaper destroyed.
Oh no!
Gate missed.
Come on.
Wait, is Crimson Fury in front of me? No, she's not.
Wow. Just shot me off. AI is such cheaters, bro.
Damn, one was at the town.
Gate missed.
Well, let's see, bro.
Lost
Oh, we
the
lost?
battle.
No.
Oh, it's at the town. Just stay behind everyone.
Well, the first momentum I was really into it. This time I just rushed it. All right, let's try this again. Hold on.
Welcome to Diablo Pass.
Oh, better play.
Winding roads, dried blood on the asphalt, and plenty of plunges right to your death. This is Battle Race, Sweet Tooth. Every gate you miss will count against you. Miss too many, and it's an early end. Also, you should know, I've equipped every vehicle with a bomb. Race to the ghost town and hit the bomb
Why are you getting
gates
that over
to
here?
arm these explosives.
All right, let's do this again, guys. All right, let's play for real. We got this.
2.
You ready?
1.
Crimson Fury though.
Wow. Wow. Ooh, big attack.
Gate missed.
Wow. I'm just no.
Special weapon is regenerated. Gate missed.
I don't think these guys are really worrying about the racetrack. I think they're just using some other technique there. Yeah, the steering is so weird.
Back online.
Wow, man. I hate when I fall off, 'cause then I lose. Wow. Come on. I don't think it really matters what place we're in. I don't know why I'm trying to like race for real.
Gate missed.
Huh? I just didn't even stop it.
You missed a gate. Miss 5 more, and you will self-destruct.
I keep missing those gates, man. Is that how you're getting in front?
You have armed the bombs. Return to detonator at the starting line.
Holy mackerel. How many?
Special weapon is regenerated.
Okay. So many of them.
Look how fast Crimson Fury is.
Gate missed.
You would have to freaking kill
Mega
her.
guns.
Okay, we got this. Don't worry.
Bye, Crimson Fury.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. All right. Here we go, guys. We're ready? All right, let's go.
Put him in the front.
Available.
All right.
Shadow
You
destroy.
got this. You got this. Don't worry.
What if I die right here? Okay, I'm ready.
Dark side destroyed. 11 opponents left. Special weapon is
Seven
regenerated.
opponents left. I've been trying to take them out, but
Daddy!
first,
Congratulations. Your team has won the race.
I couldn't even move.
Bombs will
Daddy, I'm the same.
remaining
Oh.
enemies
I
will
got
be
there before
destroyed.
Crimson Fury did.
Ooh, 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 the handling of that.
Wait
Yeah.
a second.
Shh. Please, mellow your tone. Why are you screaming? Is your water bottle?
Yeah. Any roadkill. We got roadkill.
Hey, new K right there. Okay.
Of course, he'll be in a racing game. Daddy, how does a small little fast car?
I have no idea.
Oh, the next one's mystery, Daddy. I looked at the things. The next one's mystery. Another sweet tooth.
Oh boy.
See?
The,
The
Brothers
Brothers
Grimm. Oh boy. Well, here we go, guys. Xbox. Who's that?
Welcome back to Sun Springs, Sweet Tooth. As you can see, you're not alone. The loyal gang of Mr. Grimm, a fellow competitor, wants to keep you from your prize. If they kill you, next year, one of them gets to enter my contest. So as you can imagine, they're motivated.
What?
This don't look good.
They're just men, just people. And I've killed plenty of people.
Oh, I just ran right under him. Man, I'm scary. Well, this car can actually steer.
Why is this a boss? Why is Brothers Grimm a boss? This is not cool.
No, it's not. We gotta stay together. Oh, what the heck?
Goodbye. Hey. Alright, Daddy, come on. We don't need to be chickens here. We need to defeat these bosses.
We do, but I'm gathering supplies. We got this done. Where'd you go, player 2? I got you. Where'd you go? Where is he? Oh, what the?
Guys, these guys ain't cool. Right?
Yeah.
That's what they're called. They're called Slayers. I told you Slayer was in this game.
Okay.
Right?
Yep. Alright, here we go. Well, we're gonna see. Yikesers. Oh, what are these guys like shooting at us?
Hammerhead?
Is that who it is?
Daddy, one Slayer, the black and red one's Hammerhead.
Oh, Hammerhead's an old school character.
Yeah, the black and red one's Hammerhead, Daddy. And the yellow one's Slayer.
Ooh, that hurt.
Okay?
I want to play as him.
Alright, Daddy? See, that's Slayer and the other one's Hammerhead. Okay?
Yep.
These guys are not cool.
What's his health? Oh, he's sharing health? Oh, dear. Jeez. Alright, I'm out of here. Hold on. Oh, wow, they shoot a bunch of missiles. Okay.
Cheater! Yeah, we almost got one.
I gotta get some call.
Behind you. Slayer's dead.
Okay, one down.
I killed him.
Hammerhead looks mad.
Screw this clown. Weapons ain't cutting through that, boss.
Interesting. It's like a little shell for them to hide in.
Don't worry, boss. Just get us close. I'll take care of the rest.
Then we can gut the fucker.
I love how you're gonna have to.
Right.
He just said, no, I ain't dealing with this clown. Hammerhead just got geared up. Right?
Hee.
And we need to get underneath Hammerhead.
Yeah, your health is low too.
So how?
Okay, guys, we're gonna have to be careful on this one. I know, right?
Can't get past that armor, boss. Just get me close, and I'll take care of it.
Oh.
Daddy, you distract him.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah, you gotta get behind him from the back. Okay, Gunner.
Underneath him.
I am. Got him.
You have lost.
Oh, my guy just jumped on too.
Give me a sec to arm the bomb, then we can blow.
Wow, I almost had it. You just gotta stay under him and let the guy go in. But yeah, my health was low.
Alright, so we're continue at this.
Yeah. Gotta love it. You gotta love it, Kiki. Absolutely, you're right. Look at this guy. All right, so close. That was close. I was like right there, guys. Right freaking there. Both got green health. All right, let's do this again. Okay, go ahead. What do we do?
Hey, he's right by me.
He's right by you, or are you right by him? Does it matter?
You don't see a shadow?
Oop. Oh!
Oh!
Hey, my guy, what is he doing? He's like, yeah! Oh, he jumped right back in. Oh, what the heck is going on?
So you're right by him? I'll get underneath him.
I think only I can do it.
So I can do it too, look.
Oh, you could?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, but you got a percentage. Oh my god. Dude.
The enemy's armored, boss. Our weapons aren't getting through.
Come on.
Come on!
I'll weaken him this way. Oh gosh. You guys got shoot. Yeah, you just lost everything. Hold on, he's stuck.
Almost there, boss. I almost got it.
Wow, he came for me. Do it.
All right, let me get off of him. I'm out of here. He's under.
Just stay
Wait for the C4.
Get this thing activated. Then you can come get me, and we can blow this son of a bitch.
I gotta go get him too? Oh, of course I do. How can he just do it all?
Yeah, take this help. I think. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go pick him up, okay?
Oh!
Okay,
I'll go get him.
I'm set. I'm coming down.
Oh, the lag. There are some lag spike, right?
Pick me up. Rip these bastards apart.
Oh, you have to get him. He's
Yeah.
your clown.
Yeah, but my health is not the best right now. Let me get some more health. Hold on.
Coming?
I wonder
Look,
if
the
it will
C4
be
bombs
as
must
have-
satisfying if you don't see any blood. I suspect it won't hurt you as much as
God, I hate the steering in this game.
don't you agree?
Okay, here we go. I'm coming. Let me get him. Let me get him real quick. Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
All we've done. We're a team, boss. A team.
We were a team until you left the detonator in the car with me.
Where'd he go?
Saves me to cut you before
Wow, he said you were. You were.
No, boss.
I left him in there.
Boys and girls. This is going to be so much fun.
I'm trying. He won't let me get in there.
Want me to do it?
Hold on. Dude. Just, all right, go ahead. You want to do it? Just do it.
It's not my clown.
Of course it's a day. What am I supposed to do here? Oh, I
Press
think
button. Yeah, get him.
no, I don't go under him.
Yeah, you get him.
It's right, oh, he's right there. Won't let me get him.
Oh, because you already said you're going to leave him there to die.
Yeah. So I can't shoot or nothing. Why? I don't have any items.
You said we were. Wait, is that my clown?
Hold on, dude. I'm trying to figure out. I can't use the weapons or nothing. Oh, we got lights. Oh!
You left your clown.
I did. I could have grabbed him too.
Look, there he is.
Brilliant move, freak! You win, kid, you got him! How are you gonna stop us now?
I I've killed tougher than you, asshole. Don't get cocky. You're just the appetite.
Whoa. Dude, I'm low on health. You're gonna have to take over. Or you're low too, and we got no garages.
So what do you think? This guy killed.
Alright, I know. We gotta attack him from a distance. Just spray missiles at him.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good time.
He is. I'm weakening him, but that's all I can do. Okay, no more items. Okay, I'm out of here. I did a lot of damage. He had full health. Now he has 50%. Thank Claire, I got some help. There's another one. There's another help pickup. If you grab it, look on the map. Grab it.
I need it.
Go get it. Hurry up.
Wow, this guy.
Wow, this guy does damage like bad.
Your
He's
health is
on me.
low.
Alright. I need. He's doing shockwaves and I got.
Me and he's like we were a team.
Shoot up. Hey. Where'd he go? He's by you. Careful.
Woo! Hello, Google.
Shoot him! Shoot him! Shoot him!
Machine gun.
Oh!
Oh my god, look
Shoot him! Shoot him! There you go. Just sitting there.
at him, my machine gun. He's dead. Both of them are dead.
Yeah, it's the game though, lagging. It's just the way the game is.
Now, tonight, it all comes to an end.
It's my time.
Tonight, I finally get my special treat.
Put it in a box. You unlock talent? Oh, cool.
Another guy? Oh, that's how we get Talon. The Brothers Grimm.
Mhm.
Alright, you ready? Press
So I can't play as the Brothers Grimms. Oh, we got another trophy. That one that got away.
The battle was over.
That's it?
I had killed almost everyone,
Almost.
but she was still out there. And Calypso knew where she was hiding. For my prize, I told Calypso to send me where she'd been all these years. Oh, tonight, I'd finally get to cut her. Take me to her now!
Your wish is granted.
But you don't know where she is. Watch it be a trick. Calypso's known for that.
Calypso. Calypso. Where's my god-damned prize?
Look around, Sweet Tooth. You've been given your prize. That night, when she first encountered you, she was so traumatized. She was so damaged. The hospital just wasn't really working for her. So she checked herself out and made other arrangements.
Oh, she killed herself and now he's in a coffin with her.
She's been dead for 10 years.
You can't kill me! You can't kill me! You can't ever kill me! I'll find you, Calypso! I'll fucking find you and fucking kill you! You will kill Sweet Tooth! I will fucking cut your insides out! You will hear me, you motherfucker!
Oh, he's mad, but look, he's all the way under the ground. Wow. Way down there. All in the middle of nowhere too.
Watch his hand out.
My name is Daniel Grimm, and I'm an asshole.
Playing different stories.
I've robbed people, killed people. Hell, some of the ones I killed, I know they didn't have it coming. But I wasn't always like this. My life, it used to be different. It used to be good. I'd sit up in that beat-up truck of his. Every few days, a brand new town, a brand new stadium. But even with all the fans, all the excitement, it was being in that truck with my dad that I loved the most. He was
How's it going,
my
Dale?
idol. And in that get-up of his, I thought he was a damn superhero.
Back in town to shatter the world record he set just last year. Please welcome the high-flying, death-defying, stuntman that death himself is too scared to touch, the one and only Mr. Grimm.
Mr. Grimm wasn't in the game. Or was he Reaper? Oh, Mr. Grimm was his dad.
That night I learned the truth. The world don't give a crap about you, so I figured I might as well return the favor. Doesn't take a genius to figure how it all worked out. Come on, motherfucker!
Really geeky. Long time no
I'm
see,
the
yeah.
bad guy.
Daddy,
But
these
what
are
if that
all of the
one
character
jump never
stories.
happened?
Mr. Grimm and everyone.
Yeah.
What if
Wait,
I could go back
remember?
and
The
warn you?
tires of Sweet Tooth's car said the
If
demise
I
of
die in
Sweet
this
Tooth.
contest, I'm fine with that.
That means Sweet Tooth died.
Hell, I'll
Yeah.
welcome it.
Now we're playing Grim Reaper story,
I'm going back to stop him from trying that jump.
right?
I'm going back to save his life.
So Calypso promised him to go back in time to save his dad's
My life
life.
will turn out different.
So he wants to go back to the past to save his father. That's what
And-
Mr. Grimm wants to
and-
do.
Sweet Tooth wanted to kill that girl, but she was already dead, so he went in the coffin with her.
Unfreaking believable. Wow. All right. Before we start that.
Oh, Juggernuts!
All right, guys, give me 1 second.
All the character stories we played through, of course. Now we're playing. Now we're gonna.
Okay, guys. Before we kick off to the next round here real quick, yeah, if they make a Twisted Metal for PS5, I think I'll get one too. If that happens, I'll buy a PS5. Kids, I really get a Twisted Metal on the PS5. I know. You know what? Twisted Metal's a great game. We played quite a bit, guys. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, Small Brawl, Head On, Black 2, which never got completed, and then now this one, guys. Well, this one we have the old Juggernauts, and this is going to be Diesel City. But yeah, now we're doing Mr. Grimm's story, guys. All right, guys. Let's go and do it. Yeah, Xbox isn't too much exclusive. Not lately, not with the one. Xbox has kind of been getting the last of everything, which is kind of annoying.
So we got dual Juggernaut.
Oh, sorry.
Show me the map.
Oh, it shows this.
Oh.
Oh, look at Reaper.
Oh, about
Falcon.
I'm doing Talon too. It's Talon.
Talon, and then what else do we have?
We're gonna do
We got Reaper, and who else? That's all the characters we have?
No. Two.
Oh, Roadkill.
We ready?
Well, we don't want exactly the same. As much as I hated Sweet Tooth, I got used to him. Oh, Roadkill was the when we fought Hammerhead. That's a pretty good car. Yeah, why not? Mr. Grimm's always been like a really weak character, so I'm scared. Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, not amazing for business. I mean, okay, yes. You know, it is what it is, guys. You know, that's the thing Sony has. If I'm not mistaken, I think Sony's having network issues currently.
Its best days are long behind it. Actually reminds me of you, Mr. Grimm. But perhaps there is hope. Destroy 2 Juggernauts before they flood the city with enemies. They won't appear on radar, and their spawn rate is deadly fast. But stay strong. Your chance to change the past begins here.
Special weapon back online. Juggernaut is about to spawn an enemy. Special weapon has regenerated. opponents left.
I don't know, guys. I don't know. This is it's weird. And they worked for you, really, Jay? I'm gonna try them again. That's weird, dude. So the PlayStation hits worked for you? Not like it used to be. No, 360 was. Oh my god! I just hit the wrong thing.
Juggernaut is about to spawn a new enemy.
I don't know. Wait, what happened? Why can't you move?
Hold my buttons to look around now.
Juggernaut. What did you do? What?
Ooh.
Juggernaut has
What did you do?
I can't move.
Can you shoot? Hit square. Hold square, not the joystick. This one. Oh my god, my son.
special weapon available. Your health is low.
Son is losing it, guys.
Explained you had to use this button and this button, and I forgot you had to press X to go in the car.
Alright, we need to take out this.
Daddy, I'm
Oh my god, what the heck? No, you're not stupid. You're stronger. God, you can't shoot this thing.
Come here. Come
Oh
on.
my god.
Vehicle health restored.
Really?
Get off this juggernaut.
Special weapon back online.
I'm not liking all these walls, but I mean, I guess it makes sense because.
Your health is low. Find some health or visit a garage to swap
Juggernaut's down.
Juggernaut destroyed. 5 opponents left.
Go to the garage. Oh,
I'm good. Well, Talon gets items in the air. Okay. So that would make this character a little overpowered, wouldn't it?
no, they can still shoot you while you're in the air.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that explains why the. Oh god, yeah, they hurt. Oh.
Special weapon available.
They're wrecking me right now, actually. Just grab all the items you can. Yeah, these handheld games, I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm sick and tired of it. They're all trying to do the free-to-play and make you to spend money type of deal, and it's getting really aggravating. How's your abilities? Well, this, remember, I know this was matter. There was a helicopter guy, and people were complaining you couldn't play as it. Well, they kind of brought one in, I guess. So it's kind of cool. How you looking? You okay down there? Look at the traffic. Traffic's going fast. Jeez. True, the Switch was a step to the right direction, and I don't have a problem with playing handheld. That's different, though. That's different.
Ready? Ready? This is why I say traffic. Get out of the way, traffic. Traffic, I don't need you. Ooh! What?
You need help, dude.
No, I don't.
Oh, that's somebody else.
destroyed. 4 opponents left.
4 opponents. Oh god.
Oh, no lasers. Oh. Bye.
There we go. No! Three opponents left.
Yeah, Grim Reaper ranking.
Like the Wii, right? Yeah, right. You guys are right. So what's everybody's favorite console though? Right now, favorite console all time.
PC.
Special weapon has regenerated.
Oh!
Press button.
It doesn't matter. It's just palm buttons to restart engine. Okay. Oh, you could change your weapons? Yeah, some of them are starting to become a little too cartoony now. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, I killed Vermin.
Vermin destroyed. 2 opponents left. Driver killed. Extra health awarded.
Alright, I see you going after Shadow. Let's do it together.
Shadow destroyed. 1 enemy remains.
Forget that I even said that. We got one more enemy. We got Kamikaze. He's in the middle of the map.
Special available.
Really crunchy. Up in the front.
Kamikaze guy, let me tell you.
Mega guns.
Where'd he go? Trying to get health.
I killed him. I killed all 3 of them. I killed Shadow, Vermin, and I killed Shadow, Vermin, and I killed Kamikaze. Got Meat Wagon.
Meat wagon.
Daddy.
Alright, so the door juggernauts is completed.
Daddy.
Okay. Did we save the game? Yeah, it auto saves. I think auto saves, so I think we should be good. Favorite, I'm not sure to be honest. The one I play the most is X1 though. Okay.
Shadow. And Vermin.
Alright guys, here we go. Here we go. Next round. Showtime. How do we pick? You only gonna be one character? I thought we could be 2.
Meat Wagon. No, they give you 2.
Oh look, here's Meat Wagon.
Yeah, I picked Meat Wagon in town.
Nice. Alan's good, but his health is. No.
Ready?
Yeah. Hold on. Alright, I got an idea then.
Hey, you want to play Wood Twist?
We'll have to one of these.
I did Meat Wagon and Rowboat.
You boat gently down the stream.
Welcome to
Think
the
they mean to live
grindhouse.
stream, I think.
Lots of enemies in a really tiny
A new level.
space. Oh, you're going to love this, Mr. Grimm.
Don't care where they die, Calypso. Just as long as they do.
This guy's
Oh,
very
no.
big.
Fine. Look at the back of my car. There's
Yeah,
someone in there.
look, he's ready to come out.
I didn't realize there's someone in Meat Wagon's car. I mean, he's in there. Oh, Daddy, I'm literally launching at people. That's why. See the guy in my back?
Oh, Mr. Grimm, you're so squishy.
It's Sweet Tooth and enemy.
Special weapon available.
God, I want to get in there. Let me.
Vehicle health restored. Special weapon available.
I just threw a chainsaw.
Destroyed.
Yeah, this one
7
is a
opponents
Venturella.
left. Special
Good.
weapon available.
Gosh.
Destroyed. 6 opponents
Jumper.
left. Special weapon back online. Sweet Tooth destroyed. 5 opponents left.
Alright guys, let's get these back up. I think you just got yourself copyrighted. No! That's not good. I'm getting shot at. How's the Meat Wagon?
Good. Look at him. Freaking Granny. I literally just killed Sweet Tooth. This Meat Wagon. See? Look at this guy. Good. Have to kill Robo. Kill Robo and Sweet Tooth.
Destroyed. 4 opponents left.
4 opponents left, dude. We got this.
Did you use the
Special
freaking...
available.
What?
Oh god. Meat Wagon or Robo? I'm already playing Meat Wagon for Robo.
Oh, singing to row your boat. Yeah, copyright. All right. The boat's gonna come and get me, guys. Okay.
Special weapon has regenerated.
Oh, wow. Fire over here, guys. Should have never done that. Oh, gosh.
Okay, if you see all the weak people, that's for the name.
Oh, it's good. Get unique, man. Get unique.
It's missing.
Special weapon available.
Big items.
Junkyard dog destroyed. 3 opponents left.
Like beating all these guys.
Driver
Everyone's
kill.
taking that much
Extra health
I haven't
awarded.
even healed.
Got your back. Got your back. Somebody's behind you. I need chopper support. Over. On your tail. There you go. He's down now.
Death warrant destroyed. 2 opponents left. Special weapon available.
This guy's really fast. Oh. Okay, no problem, no problem.
I killed Outlaw.
Outlaw destroyed. 1 enemy remains.
I think it's lagging
Special
because we're doing
weapon
2
is
things.
regenerated.
Okay.
Last player. Who is it? Warhog.
Look, Chuck is here. Do you need help? I just Chuck, look.
I need help. I'm good. Look,
Okay.
I've killed that many enemies. I only took that much damage. I know he's taking. Yep, Warthog. I knew it. Can't work. Can't work.
And then like, go to the chopper.
You won the
There you
battle.
go. Yeah.
I've killed most of those guys, and I've only lost like that much health. We got Vermin.
Ooh. Yes, another character.
Who's the guy?
Don't be
Is
she.
that poop on his truck?
I don't know. Give me a favor. All right, looks like we're ready for the next one, guys. Yeah, which one? All right, let's get on with the next one. All right, it's about time you got it, Doji, and I hope it runs very, very well for you, bro. You do matter. We want to. Oh, not electric. I'll let you. Want to try Vermin?
Big bag in a group.
Okay. Put Talon in there, but I'll switch.
Which talent?
Oh?
No. But you picked it. That's what you're gonna game.
Oh, okay. Well, I got Roadkill first then. Adventure Park.
You know, Mr. Grimm, I just love a good theme park. Don't you? It's just about impossible to be sad in a place like this,
Looks
isn't
cool.
it?
Look what Disney.
So much
Is that
fun,
what that's supposed to be?
so much joy. In fact, it's the kind of place Daddy would have taken you as a kid, when he was still breathing, I mean.
Fuck you.
When he was still breathing. Right?
Come on, Grimm. Just a joke. I like to tease.
Dirty Drag Killer.
Oops, yeah, I got both first. Alright, let's go. I don't want to go down. Oh, what the? He's just starting to get blown up, guys. There's too many.
Special weapon back online. The cage is about to move.
Cage is about to move.
The cage has moved to another location.
Ah, move, guys. I hate the AI. That's just
Special weapon back online.
way.
Wow, my character.
Oh my.
Destroyed.
Seriously? These guys are doing everything they can in their power for me not to get in there. I'm getting Paul, stop, froze, everything, all the above.
Gunner killed.
Jeez. Sorry, I'm here now, guys. I have an itch between my power supply and a new motherboard. Hey, how does it run, Dolce? How does it run, Dolce? This again, I'm not gonna do it. Let me out.
Outside the cage.
Killed Axel.
He's way out here.
Axel
Dog.
destroyed.
Wagon, I see why he's there.
You are
good.
outside the cage.
Not this again.
Grace period initiated.
This rowboat is getting on my nerves.
Okay. I like how the players always attack you.
Yeah!
Like,
You see my screen is all explosions.
like, who just got help?
No, I got one.
Mega guns.
Okay, I'll grab it again. I'm not in this one. Oh god. Oh dear Jesus. The items, man.
Yeah, Dad, look at my mega bullets.
I'm perfect. Shot at.
You
Your
are
screen looks
outside the
piece of
cage. Grace period.
You're laughing because you know it's true.
Point blank. Point blank.
Okay, that's just
Destroyed.
that's it. You get angry then.
Opponents left. You are outside the cage. Grace period initiated.
Oh, really?
Is about to move.
There was a heart there.
You are outside the cage. Grace period initiated.
Yeah, I know exactly what
Weapon is regenerated.
Doesn't matter. I still get blown up.
Fury destroyed. 3 opponents left.
I'm killing all of them.
Can't even enjoy the level because I'm so busy trying to find a cage. Okay. There's the Calypso truck. Oh, now you want to come. Come in here. You want to shoot. Oh, boy, you didn't even get that.
Outside the cage. Grace period
Wait.
initiated.
Pull it right there.
Rowboat.
Destroyed. 2 opponents left. Special weapon is regenerated.
Killed Outlaw.
Outlaw destroyed.
Hey, I've been killing
1
all-
enemy remains.
I'm killing them with silver.
You are outside the cage. Grace period initiated. You won the battle. Driver killed. Extra health awarded.
To get unlock the absorption shield.
What does that mean? Oh, right, and triangle.
Oh, we haven't been using this.
No, we haven't, but triangle and those seem to be doing different attacks. Do you absorb damage with that? Do you get like lifesteal or something? Right.
Those are all the other items from killed. Calypso, he's killed Sweet Tooth without his blades. He's got those blades. Oh no.
The death that your cursed contest
That's the
has
creature.
rained down upon us all, it ends tonight. Oh, it ends tonight, Calypso. And it ends with me. For my God has come, and he has given me the honor of waking the suffering from their slumber of fear. And once awakened, we will all rise up. We will rise up this very night, and we shall tear down your tower of sin. Oh, I know who you are.
Next door is the
I
priest,
know who you really
right? Why was that one of Grim Reaper's?
I don't know.
Grim Reaper wasn't it?
Yeah, he wasn't in there at all.
So all the people that hold on, Daddy, before we start, all the people Calypso killed, collected an item from them. He killed Sweet Tooth. He got his blade.
Yep.
He got that blade right there. Killing blade.
I think Roadkill. Roadkill was okay.
You already know what I'm going with.
Right.
Permanent meat wagon.
Special weapon. Effing good. Yeah, his special weapon is good, but man, oh look at his speed. 2 speed. That's how we got 1 bar. Look at everybody else.
Let me see this guy's
Him and Sweet Tooth's about the same.
meat wagon. Look at his
Yeah,
speed.
look at the helicopter. He's got no arm. Does speed.
Look at Kamikaze speed.
Good try Kamikaze.
I'm not gonna try this. That one. Oh, come.
I noticed with the Juggernauts, the helicopter helps a lot.
Welcome to Watkins Harbor,
Oh, is this where we fought the
a
brother?
great place to introduce my newest event, the Endurance Match.
Right.
The enemies, motivated gang members of fellow contestants, just keep coming. Take one out, another appears. To win the battle, you have to reach the kill limit. It's the only way back, Mr. Grimm. The only way back to Daddy.
Hey, come on.
Right.
We gotta get 8.
Special.
Calypso, he's been giving me that creepy vibe, like all the way back to it. All the way back to
Oh, because Mr. Grimm wants to go to the past, change, like, I think he wants to save his father from death. Probably seems okay. Yeah, he drives good. There you go.
Wait, who's in meat wagon?
Special weapon is regenerated.
Oh, not this guy. dog was mad. Things thrown as shadow. Thank you, Jim. And it's all the way to the channel. Okay, you know what? You guys got so much help right now. Blown in the air, just shimmer brains, right with the deuce. Oh, not this guy. He's not throwing me off the
Outlaw destroyed.
Let me know where
Driver
right
killed. Extra
Oh,
help.
man, all three of them are here. Okay, my-
Special weapon back online.
Okay, suck me in. Oh, God, he never miss. What the? Oh! Oh, man's looking at my screen. I never saw that happen before. Oh, lucky. Just like he knows. This special.
Look at my guy special. Look how much damage he does.
Roadkill destroyed. Special weapon is regenerated.
Hey, I'm just blowing people up. I'm like, oh, you want to talk to me? Nope.
Axle destroyed. Driver killed. Extra help.
Sweet Tooth, what the? Let's get the move of running around and stuff. Like, how does he do that? I was playing the Sweet Tooth, I couldn't even do it.
Bad.
Need help. Shoot, see what's right there.
Still Herman.
Except for we're going this building.
Destroyed. Special weapon back online.
Okay.
Shadow's back alive.
Right, veterans, how are you? How are you? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're just we're doing a throwback. We never played this one. This is a new one for us right now. Oh gosh, he is on my hiney. Okay. Behind you, behind you. Ooh.
Gonna kill. Random weapon awarded.
Oh, why did I use it? Out of here. Oh god.
Special weapon available.
Okay, I'm out. Okay, goodbye. Yeah.
Hey,
We gotta be careful too. Hmm? By the way, I changed a few other things also on Discord as well, Jim, so definitely. I do see a lot of new names here in the stream. I'm not gonna see your names, so if you guys are lurking tonight, it's all good. I'm not gonna like shout you out just for your secrecy or hiding or whatever. Or if you're just watching. But guys, definitely check out our Discord, guys. Jim, if you can post a Discord in chat, that'd be awesome. So there's a lot of names on the map, guys. Hold on.
I'm not even using my regular.
Pause this 1 second, guys. Let me clean these lines real quick so I can put it.
Alright, we're back. Okay.
We got the nine, guys. Let's keep going. Thank you, Gem. Yes. Let's go. Alright. Guys, we gotta be careful here, team. What else do we have going on here? Okay. Gotta stay alive. Somewhat
I killed Crimson Fury just by running into it. Crimson Fury was weak.
Health is low. Find health or find a garage. Shadow destroyed.
Hey, we got 8 kills out of 8.
Yeah?
Yeah, we only need to get 8 kills.
Extra
That was
health
it.
awarded.
I like how your car's showing because you're player 1. What do we get? We got a shotgun.
Double barrel too on top of that. That's the
No.
shotgun everybody uses in Modern Warfare. It's just... Oh.
Roxanne.
Yahoo!
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Oh. Another
What we got next?
movie, I bet. What's the mystery? Race to battle, Sun
Oh.
Springs, really? Another race? You know, hold on.
The race in Sun Springs.
Kamikaze. I'm picking Kamikaze because
Yeah, but Sweet Tooth last time gave me an issue. I remember.
yeah, you went Sweet Tooth again. Sorry.
Oh, Kamikaze was pretty good. Throw them off the maps when I'm good.
Man, there's no holes in the map. The other one.
Oh. Oh.
Welcome to the battle race. Another event, another chance for you to fulfill the death wish that
Oh,
you've
you got a
had since
cycle
you
back
saw
there.
your father's head explode.
The meat wagon?
Well, since you saw your father
There's only
die,
one dark side this time. Thank goodness.
don't
nope, I
miss
said
too
this is
many
too-
gates, Mr. Grimm. And please be sure to finish among the top racers to earn a little twisted surprise at the end.
How much you want bets?
For this event, the
Oh, yeah.
happy town of Sun Springs, California will serve as your racetrack. It's a nice town, don't you think? Win this race and you'll
Go,
be
guys.
one step closer to going back and saving your father.
Finally.
Save your father, change your life. Good luck, Grim.
Yeah. Gonna kill him, was he? Let's just kill him.
Alright, here we go, guys.
Bye.
Gate missed.
Kill Crimson Fury.
Fury destroyed. 9 opponents left.
Crimson Fury's dead? Forever?
Special weapon back online. You missed a gate. Miss 5 more, and you will self-destruct.
I'm lost. I'm lost.
You're lost.
In-
Why?
Gate missed. Gate missed. Miss 4 more gates, and you will be destroyed.
I don't know what just happened. I got lost too.
Special weapon back online. You missed a gate. Missed 3 more gates, and you will self-destruct.
Oh, Gates missed 12 out of 12.
You lost the battle.
I'm dead. Dang it. No.
I lost because I got lost.
Yeah, I did too, right when the city came.
I got lost because
Welcome to the battle race.
Just skip it.
Another of
Alright guys, let's try this again.
2, 1.
Come on. Team Crimson Fury.
Gate missed.
Let me see. me too. Just running in the race.
So am I.
Missed.
Oh!
Daddy, get out of here! Wait, what?
Special weapon has regenerated.
Hey, stay in
Miss 5 more, and you will self-destruct.
5 more.
Are you lost?
Missed 7 out of 12.
Are you lost?
No, I'm good.
Where are you supposed to be at?
Alright.
Hey, we're supposed to go up here!
I know, I'm coming, I'm coming.
Okay, I'm lost.
Look at this.
Gate missed.
A weird race.
Really? After we reset the last valid gate?
Missed. Miss 4 more gates, and you will be destroyed.
I don't know where I'm at!
Missed a gate. Miss 5 more, and you will self-destruct.
Gate 2, what the heck?
Missed a gate. Miss 3 more gates, and you will self-destruct.
I don't know where we're going.
You missed a gate.
Doesn't tell me.
One more gate, and you will self-destruct.
Miss 1 more gate, you're done.
Gate missed. Miss 4 more gates, and you will be destroyed.
Okay, I gotta follow the AI because honestly, I don't know where I was going.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah, but how are we supposed to know where to go?
You have lost the battle.
That was a weird race, guys. Very, very weird. Yeah, let's do this again.
I'm bad at this.
Welcome to the battle race.
3, 2, 1. Gate missed.
I took some of them out too, so
We are Crimson Fury.
stay in the gates. You already missed one. Okay, right on your screen.
Special weapon available. Gate missed.
Ah!
Gate missed. Gate missed. Special available.
Oh, trying to stay on track.
Missed.
Oh my god, the AI made me miss. Wow.
More, and you will self-destruct.
Wow, went around the game. He gave me wow.
You will be destroyed.
I'm gonna make sure I hit these because right now you're 6 out of 12. I'm 8 out of 12. I can't miss that. Oh my god, no, don't make me miss it.
Miss 5 more, and you will self-destruct. Gate
Up
missed.
here? Oh, seriously?
And you will be destroyed.
Oh my gosh. What's up, Solid? This map is very weird, dude. am I supposed to go? Oh my gosh. I don't get it.
There's 2 more gates and it will be destroyed.
Wow.
Lost the battle.
Yeah, you're going too fast.
Oh, just quit.
Alright. Just quit it. %. I hope it saves, man. Too bad there wasn't just a change vehicle option.
Oh, it's Dollface. The next one. It's twisted. See? It's Sweet Tooth.
Oh,
Mr. Dollface.
gotcha. And it saved too.
Hey, go back to the race. I wanted to pick a different. Why do we not have Crimson?
I don't even want to know.
Welcome to the battle race.
Just skip it. You'll see what car you are.
2, 1.
Oh.
Missed.
Oh, we'll just. Look, at least we know the campaign saves. I was kind of scared. I thought we had to do like the whole thing. Alright.
Special weapon back online. Gate missed.
I love how the AI just completely missed that. They better blow up. Oh, and
missed. Special weapon available. Gate.
That was a weird noise. 1 second. All right, here we go. Ready?
Gate missed. Missed a gate. Miss 5 more, and you will
Hey,
self-destruct.
you missed 8 already?
Hey, stupid AI! Hey, knock me out.
Oh, I know. It's annoying. That's how you think they got me. Yeah, let's try to stay in the race this time,
You missed a gate. Miss 3 more gates,
God.
and you will self-destruct.
Look at the arrows on your map.
and you will be destroyed.
Dude, you're gonna miss 10 out of 12?
You missed a gate. Miss
One more and you're dead.
more gate, and you will suffer.
Drive slower.
Well, we have to win.
I know we have to win, but we're not gonna win. Like, look, I'm right behind, or you're, I'm 11th place, but hey, I'm still in the race though. I don't think the AI really matters if they do.
You have lost the
Now we gotta do the
battle.
race all over again. How are we gonna win that way? Play accurate. You're rushing way too fast.
I'm trying to beat all the AIs.
I know. I wouldn't worry about it.
Welcome to the battle
Just
race.
when you're racing them, try to take them out,
Another
that's all.
event. Another chance for you to fulfill the death wish that you've had since
Yeah,
you
Three.
this character, I don't know.
2.
Wow, he's right next to me too.
Alright, let's do this. We're gonna know this map by heart pretty soon.
Take out some cars.
Grim Reaper. So mean.
Moments left. Gate missed. Special weapon has regenerated.
Miss Zero looks crazy. Yeah, just skip and
Gate missed.
You missed too.
you got this.
Gate missed.
See? Oh my god, I can't steer. Like, they push me the whole time. Oh my god. Seriously, Sweet Tooth? I don't think the gates matter for them. I think they get to just play however they want. It's so- You gotta worry about no gates or nothing. They just...
Special weapon back online.
We just turn into a train.
Like, you know what? There's like 6 people in here. No, I missed it.
He runs out. He don't need to go. He's struggling like this. I don't need wheels. I got feet. Alright, so the good news is I haven't missed that many but
Special weapon available.
perfect. I missed 4, but we're still in the race. Which fast.
Missed.
Get away! You measly scrub. I missed 3.
Oh, I
Missed.
go.
Missed 6.
Gate missed. Special weapon available.
Alright, we're gonna have to be careful on this one. Looks like we're about to turn. And
Gate missed.
love how the abilities just don't miss.
No, Death Warrant!
Special weapon is regenerated. You missed a gate. Miss 5 more,
You're dead.
and you
What?
will self-destruct. Gate missed. Missed 4 more gates.
Yeah, little man. 8 out of 12. What's going on there, man?
Outlaw destroyed.
Oh, nice and easy, nice and
Opponents
easy.
left. Mega gun.
Rob. Ha! Hey, am I in first?
So, yeah.
I'm first? Oh no, Crimson Peak.
Oh, you're third. Coming, though.
Oh my god, I love how Warhawk can just jump on top of me.
Miss 3 more gates, and you will self-destruct. Gate missed. Miss 2 more gates, and you will be destroyed.
Really, dude?
No, that's a deathmatch surprise. Kill all enemies to win.
Wow.
We had to kill all enemies. We didn't have to race. That's the deathmatch thing. Really must destroy all opponents to advance, so we were racing for nothing.
Wow.
That's the catch from Calypso.
Wow. You rigged it, mate.
Welcome to the battle race.
3,
Oh. Kill them all.
2, 1.
So it ain't even about winning, dude. Go slow and just take these guys out.
Wow, they're rush.
So he misses right next to you.
But we do have to freaking get the gate.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna freeze one and we're gonna take him out. Ready?
Special weapon back online.
Look how slow the AI is going. You see how slow they're going? Yeah, we didn't have to win. It wasn't about racing. Okay.
Fun. I was over here going kamikaze. And we didn't have to.
You were almost first place. Wow, I can't believe that. I'll say for like as old as this game is, it don't look bad.
Special weapon back online.
We're just cruising. Now look at the names on the map. We gotta take all them guys out. We don't even have to race. I think we just gotta meet them. We gotta catch up.
Missed. Gate missed.
Wait, can you put the helicopter on this map?
Available.
Nope. They already knew that.
Or not?
I said nope.
Gate missed.
What the heck was this? Oh, there's water in the way. Oh.
Gate missed.
Here?
Easy, you're gonna try. Okay, what's going on here?
I'm done. We didn't even have to kill him. So the race goes on forever until someone's got to kill one win.
Yeah, so where are they?
Oh, we're up there?
Gate missed.
God, I hate the... Alright, we gotta freeze these guys and like take them out. Press up on the D-pad. Oh, look at that, they're going backwards. I see you guys.
I wish I was in there. Warthog.
Because we didn't even follow it. That's why I saw them not following the race.
Gate missed.
We can see. Like, we have to follow the arrows. We do gotta follow the race.
Mega guns. Warthog destroyed. None opponents left.
That was crazy, guys. We had a surprise.
Gate missed.
Oh, he said he had a deathmatch. What? They're all the way up there? Wow, Sweet Tooth just said to get it. I got legs. Who needs?
Just come on. Let's see if we beat this.
If we don't, I'm gonna pick Sweet Tooth. I'm just gonna walk. Be like, okay.
Hmm.
Woo!
We gotta take these guys out.
You're over here thinking, oh, it matters.
Gate missed. Missed 4 more gates, and you will be destroyed.
Missing gates for us.
Mega guns.
Yeah, Crimson Fury is gonna.
Oh, well, I think we knew that. I think we gotta take them out first.
Yeah, Crimson. How do we kill all these guys?
No idea, but we don't want to finish the race either.
I'm Kazuya. I mean, freaking, Crimson Fury.
Opponents 4.
You have lost the battle.
Wait.
I'll let you set that up real quick. Hold on.
Who are you gonna pick? Okay. Daddy.
Welcome
on.
to the battle race. Another event, another chance for you to...
3, 2,
Let's do this again, guys.
How do I become a sweet bot? Hey, how do I become a sweet bot?
gate missed.
Just triangle. And then you hit the other special.
What?
If you press triangle on your special, it changes your special type. It's like a secondary special.
Special weapon is regenerated. Gate missed.
Keep shooting in front of us.
Special weapon available.
Need to get Ha! How do I walk? Let's go down wall.
Destroyed. 9 opponents left. Warthog destroyed. Gate missed.
The dark side.
Special weapon is regenerated.
I'm taking my time cruising.
Destroyed.
You're just like I want to kill you. So many opponents are up there.
missed.
That must be like
Special
every
weapon
character in the game
available.
except for Juggernaut. Right?
Gate missed. Gate missed. Mega guns. Special weapon available. Gate missed.
Whatever. Good gosh. Okay.
You missed a gate. Miss 5 more, and you will self-destruct.
Wow.
Go fast, fast.
Meat weapon destroyed.
Well, how many opponents we have left?
Eight.
Mega guns.
Wow, man.
Gate missed. Missed 4 more gates, and you will be destroyed.
It's all messed up. Yeah, get in there. Hurry up. That's good.
opponents left.
Crimson Fury.
Dang it! We gotta do it before the race is over. All opponents.
You have lost the battle.
We gotta go for Crimson Fairy in the beginning.
No, Crimson Fury and
Yeah, I think we have to focus now. Once we.
Crimson Fury.
Okay, come on.
Go for Kamikaze and Crimson Fury.
Got it. I'm just gonna race. I'm gonna speed up to the front real quick.
Welcome to the battle
Get
race.
those guys out.
Get
Another
3,
out there.
2, 1.
Seriously, I can't move.
Sorry in front.
Oh my god, I'm stuck, dude. No, that's bull crap. Restart that. That was trash. That was trashy. I glitched out on you.
Welcome to the battle race.
Yeah, turbo and
Another
everything. I
event.
said nope.
Another chance for
I
you
knew
to
my
fulfill
plan
the
and it
dream.
stopped. AI said, I control this game.
1.
It's a third, you're mad, buddy.
Gate missed.
Dang, he's so fast. Come on, man. I'm blown all over the freaking place. Now I'm behind. Great.
Want me to get her?
There. Right in there. I missed one of those. I missed a couple just so I can get this. Look, he ain't even doing the checkpoints. Look at him.
Gate missed.
Look at him.
Misfired.
Oh, dude, you cheating, bro.
Self-destruct. Missed a gate. Missed 3 more gates.
Wow.
2 more.
Oh, no, he's cheating. I don't care what nobody say. He drives too perfect, too fast.
Special weapon has rejected. You have lost the battle.
Ollie.
Whole team is after me. And I was so close to death, bro. Brimstone had that much health. Jeez. All right, let's try this again.
You rushed to the front because you had the top.
Welcome to the
I
battle
was first place
race.
and everything. I didn't even pass Crimson
Another
Fairy, but
event.
he's too
Another
fast.
chance.
3,
It's not even as fast. His driving is so perfect.
1.
Okay, I'm in the front. Where's Grimstone coming? Look at him.
Gate missed.
Oh my god, these guys got to get it. Look at him. Grimstone, you're mine.
Gate
Wow. He was.
My god.
Wow. He pushed me to the wall.
Oh man, come on. Man. Like, why? I race and someone throws something at me and flops me out. Like, the whole team is after me. Like, I can't do anything.
Welcome to the battle race.
3,
It's so cheap. Like, everybody should be fighting everybody.
1.
Crimson right back.
Move out of my damn way. Look at these guys. Look at these guys.
Missed.
No, please, you just screwed me up, dude.
Push aside.
I'll try one more time.
Welcome to the battle race.
Right.
3,
Man, where is he right here? I wanna.
1.
Alright, that's roadkill. Roadkill's. Move, Grimson. Look, I freeze him and it doesn't even matter. Look, freeze did nothing to him. Wow. Wow, look at his health. Look at us driving.
Special weapon available.
Oh, hell no. I'm getting freaking blown away.
Gate missed.
Oh, he just health regen. Wow. Oh, he's frozen, he's frozen, he's frozen. And then he unfreezes. Wow. AI cheating much? For real though? It's like that?
Gate missed. Special weapon back online.
Oh my dear. Look at this.
Missed a gate. Misfired.
All right, guys, give me 1 second, okay? We're gonna do the BRB real quick. Hold on, got some stuff going on. Hold on. All right, guys. The rage was real. The rage was real. All right, so what I'm gonna do is give me 1 second, guys. I do have to end this recording real quick, so that way when I upload this, so that was interesting. You know, where the heck is it? Yeah, I don't think we're doing too well right now, guys. We might have to just call it for another day. We'll see. Hold on, give me a second. Oh no, we're having issues. This is bad. Wow. I guess I'll be right back.